Hello, welcome to Luigi's Gaming Lounge. This is Luigi Mario, and we are on episode 16. And joined today by Outtime Ecto 1, aka
Andy, hello.
Trip Hazard, aka
Barnaby, hello.
and finally Commando Para,
Yo, what up? It's your home dog, Tony.
T-Dog.
Yo, what up? Yo, what up, homies?
Right, guys, so today is a good day good episode because we have our first piece of fan mail into the Luigi.
It's going to be good because Sam can't join us.
Hey, amazing. That's amazing.
What was that, Andy?
I thought you were going to say it's a good episode because Sam can't join us.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Oh.
Where are you, Sam?
My jet.
Yeah. Where is Sam? Where is he?
Well, we'll start off this episode just having a quick discussion about the Steam Deck. I'm sure the majority of people who listen have heard or seen the Steam Deck. Looks a little bit like Nintendo Switch, but obviously it's all linked to your Steam account, and supposedly, I know they would say this because they're selling it, but they have said that basically whatever game they've thrown at it, it's been able to run it, because there was plenty of questions about how just how powerful it will be. Can it run this, can it run that? Barney, I know you've had a look and you've got a couple of things to say about it. Did you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting idea, but having looked into a bit further, I do have some reservations. I think, first of all, there's no reservations at all about the library because, as I understand it, there's only about 7 games that will not be compatible with the Steam Deck because of DRM reasons or anti-cheating software. So that is a very tiny proportion out of the thousands and thousands of games available on Steam.
Yes.
And I have to say that Steam is one of my favourite PC gaming platforms. So in theory, being able to get that on a handheld would be very intriguing.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of reservations about, first of all, the size of the thing, because it is flipping huge for a handheld device.
It is a bit.
That's what she said.
Chunky boy.
That's what she said.
Yeah, it's going to be a definite two-hander, this one.
It is going to be a two-hander.
Pepper grind.
Yeah, I mean,
You also have to think about, is it really going to give you that authentic PC gaming experience? Because we're going to touchpads here, and as we probably mentioned on the cast before, us PC gamers, if we're going to PC game, we'll use keyboard and mouse combo. So are we going to get enough PC gamers who want to use dual sticks and touchpad?
well, I suppose, for me, like, looking at it and where it will be used, I think at the end of the day, if you're going to play really competitive games such as Call of Duty and your Battlefields, things like that, you're gonna play that at home at your direct setup. I feel with the Steam Deck, for me personally, I'd be looking at playing sort of like your platformer style games, if that makes sense. Something that feels good to use with like a gamepad, so that it doesn't. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think it's going to be really good for mobile gamers. Instead of playing on their phone, or you got the Switch, Nintendo Switch, and other devices, it's going to be good. But I think that's not going to. I feel like it's a half-hearted sort of attempt for those who are PC gamers who want to remain PC gamers, or to try and sort of encourage a new audience. If I was to purchase that, and I'm not a PC gamer, and I have been in the past, I'm going to go, well, there's no point buying a PC, purchasing a bit, but then you take away the art of PC gaming. But it's going to be, if you want the strategic, like you said, the gameplay, strategic gameplay, such as Call of Duty, Battlefield, or, playing these strategic games, then yes, PC is the way forward, mouse, keyboard. But with this, I just think it's another market, another avenue, and they go, oh, we've got a bit of money left over, a bit of capital, let's invest in this, and let's see how we go, and see if we can encourage new PC gamers to purchase some PC, purchase their first PC and get into PC gaming, because they don't want to fall behind. And it is kind of not outdated, But consoles are just an easier setup, and they're just trying to find something in the market just to go, well, yeah, we're PC gaming, but we've got this tool that you can purchase, instead of a Nintendo Switch.
There was one thing I looked at in regards to the Steam Deck that seemed quite interesting, because supposedly it's been confirmed that you would be able to actually install Windows 10 on the Steam Deck, so to turn it into like a fully fledged PC as such. But in doing that, you would be able to take advantage of like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with like the xCloud, and you could even so you could even install the games from the PC app. So you have access.
I'd love to know what frames this is, sort of running at. For this to be how much RAM it's got. How is this?
I had a look at a few specs. Yeah, sorry to cut you short, but I had a look at a few specs, and apparently it can do 4K at 60 FPS.
Oh well.
I mean, if that.
But it depends, obviously, what software we're looking at. But that was just taken as like an average.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true in the sense that if it does come true that's what it can do. I mean that alone sounds impressive already for handheld, doesn't it?
Very impressive.
It's powerful, but yeah, that's definitely going to pack a punch in the market, especially if you want to take the lead of handheld devices. That I'm kind of eating my own hat here. I'm kind of interested to know more now. So,
yeah, I am actually kind of interested as well, because I didn't think about having the Game Pass library as well, but obviously that is Windows as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so that
is interesting, actually.
Yeah, because like I say, having Windows 10 installed on there, obviously you can install the Xbox app, and then basically the cloud side of things, we know already that is being implemented into the Xbox app directly, so you don't have to go on to a browser. So you would have the option to either stream the game direct to the Steam Deck, or the games that are capable of being run on the Steam Deck that you have in the Game Pass library, you can install directly to the device. And that's quite, it's quite exciting. It's quite a cool thing. I know we can stream to our phones and tablets, but I mean, realistically, for me, I like to try and keep my phone a bit separate from the gaming side of things. So to have this dedicated device,
yeah, we all know why.
To have this dedicated device, it's quite cool. I mean, I've got to be honest, if I had that spare cash to just go, yeah, I'll buy it, I would, because I do think it'd be interesting to use it and be part of it, to see what it's like.
What I'd like to know is, I remember going as a kid with my stepfather. Used to go to these computer events, where you can buy new graphic cards, components for. How will that work in terms of upgrading it? Is this going to be a system that you can go, right, you can upgrade the components, or is it going to be of a, right, okay. Well, if they had done that, that would have been something quite cool, to sort of keep that alive throughout. But again, I suppose that probably voids the warranty if you start tampering with the device itself and start chop and changing. But if it was user friendly like that, that would be great. But yeah, it sounds quite interesting what it's running at. But again, I need to know a bit more information. But what is it sort of retailing at? Is it about £500-600, or are we talking something ridiculous?
The top one's £570.
Yeah. So, okay. But the thing to sort of remember here as well is that the low end version, I haven't got the. Andy, have you got the UK prices there?
Yeah.
So I've got it in dollars, $399, the low end.
£349 is your entry level, but you don't have an SSD with that. It's running on the MMC.
Yeah, so it's a 64 gig and it's not SSD. So it'll still be fine, but obviously the SSD sort of memory is a heck of a lot quicker. So,
and does this give you the option to sort of add a keyboard and mouse to that screen if you wanted more of a sort of PC
that's
gaming?
what I was thinking.
I should.
And then if you go into that, you might as well get a laptop.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
You're losing all of the portability if you add in accessories to it.
Yeah, well, it does come with Bluetooth, so should you want to connect a keyboard and mouse, you could. But yeah,
I'm going to play devil's advocate because you're like a window salesman, Luigi, and you'll see the good in everything.
Yeah.
And you'll make someone buy something. Whereas I like to look between the lines of it. Do I think this is going to be
between the blinds?
I think it's going to be a hell of a success. Why? Because you look at the resale prices for reservations on the secondary market already, and they're astronomical because people want it as soon as they launch.
Yeah.
The PC community, they can, some with exception, but PC community are PC master race. We don't do games consoles. Up until now, they haven't had that handheld option.
Yeah.
I can't understand the logic, like Tony was saying. The point of PC gaming is your mouse and keyboard and so forth. If they want it, the argument up until now is, you get better control of that, better precision, etc. And now they're going to analog sticks on the handheld device. But they may still do it, and it's going to sell. What I don't get, though, is 569 quid for the top pack, which is only 512 gig. That's a lot of money. Like, that will get you a second-hand hell of a gaming laptop that you can upgrade, that can, it's got a bigger screen. It's got more accessibility options. We touched on the Windows. To install Windows, you have to install a whole new operating system because it comes with Steam OS. So I dare say the fact you can install Windows and so forth might, again, touch on what Tony said, infringe the warranty. It will be like anything, not quite the extent of jailbreaking, but it's not designed for that operating system. But because it is a PC, you can do it. Yeah. But then if you do that, why would you want Windows on a handheld device? You can theoretically get everything you need on Windows on your phone or a laptop. There's, with all this possibility, you're merging and mangling too much. As a standalone PC gaming device, do I think it's got a market? Yes. Do I think it's going to sell well? Without a shadow of a doubt. The amount of Steam gamers is probably more than consoles combined. It's going to do well. Is it my cup of tea? Not for that price. Not anywhere close. Because I would just get a gaming laptop.
Yeah. Well,
also, the battery life is depending. If you run it at 60 frames at 4K. It's a 2-hour battery life.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking.
That is shit for what's supposed to be a portable device. And again, as soon as you start plugging it into something, you're completely destroying the one thing that it's key selling point, the portability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point to highlight. My other question is, really quickly, if it's running on Windows, and I'm taking this back to basics of a PC, because it's meant to be PC gaming community and trying to introduce others, does this mean that we need to pay for every year an upgraded virus system to prevent viruses from appearing?
No,
so do we have to run it like a PC, or is it just
you say if you run it on the Steam OS, they'll cover you because they would have put the security protocol in place for that OS that you're running. If you then choose to override their factory installed OS with your own OS, you're on your own back. And in theory, if it's connected to the internet, it's got its own IP address, it's on the network, it can be breached. So what Tony's saying is, if you do start using it as a like a mini PC and you install your own version of Windows, there's no reason why people couldn't get into that. No different to you using a laptop at an airport or something, and you're on an open network, an unsecured network. Yeah, people can get into it.
Just quickly on that, I'll let other people talk. But what comes to mind already? We're having these sort of conversation debates about it. But I definitely think, I agree with you. There is a market for it. I think it will sell well. I am actually not interested when thinking about where I could upgrade components, do what I want, and also if I want to knock out a spreadsheet, I'd get a laptop. However, what I want to put, Excel, baby, Excel. But what I would like to know is if you're not paying for this and you're covered by their system, well, is that a subscription? Is it, in layman's terms, much like a mobile phone? They'll give you regular updates and say update available, carry out and proceed. But for me, I definitely won't be purchasing this item. I'd be intrigued and interested if we had a Toys R Us or a game station where they would sort of have this in place so you can try before you buy, like most places, like Toys R Us being an example. Then yeah, I'd give it a whirl, give it a bash, but I definitely wouldn't part from my cash from that, because I do think this will be short-lived, and I don't think it's going to be an initial competitor. I don't think it's going to be a great competitor, but that's it.
I'm jumping in here because Andy, firstly, I'll pick up on Andy saying about, it being handheld and, being... I can't remember the exact words you used, Andy, but sort of like saying about it being like the first, this, that, the other, and then Tony saying about it being short-lived. I totally disagree, and the reason I disagree, I don't know if you've ever seen the GPD devices.
Yes.
They sold,
very interesting.
Yeah, they sold no end, and they still sell now. If you look them up, especially the GPD Win Frees, they... the spec of those and the price they go at. You can buy for those. You can buy a full PC for that price, but they still go out that shop door. They still
they do sell, but have they got market share? Do they own them? They're not.
It's a niche, isn't it? It's a niche product.
Anything can sell, but to what extent? Like, I've never heard of a GPD Win 3 until you've just said, and I've just Googled it. So that shows that it hasn't even hit my fucking radar. And considering I'm into gaming and into PCs and tech, then something's amiss. Anything can sell, but to what extent? And it could go down the same route as a GPD. I imagine it will, and it could surpass it. But it's still, like the PC Master Race, it's still not going to blanket the entire gaming sector, but it will fill a void, because again, with the names Steam and Valve, you can't ask for too big a names. And I think there was I was reading an article a couple of days ago. They've got like one of the vice presidents of EA coming over.
That's right, yeah.
Wow!
So they've got again, EA. You can slate the games, but if you're a VP of EA, you know how to deliver numbers. They've got a team behind them. It's going to be a success, but it's not going to be
the EA thing. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I think the EA guy, that's the guy who Netflix have taken on.
Oh, is it Netflix?
Yes.
Wow.
Ah, okay.
For the gaming side of things, which we're going to touch on.
That could be right, because I was reading several articles.
Yeah.
But Barney, what's your opinion on this then?
Short and sweet, if they halve the size and they double the battery life, I'd consider it. But as it stands, it's too bulky. And
would you drop 570 quid on it?
No, but I'd be looking at the second-hand market.
Yeah. So I'm
after about 6 to 9 months, maybe.
Well, will they bring out like what PlayStation and Xbox done? Where they've got the S and the X.
The Slim line. Yeah, if they brought out a Steam Deck Slim, then I'd consider it, definitely.
Yeah.
But as it stands, it's an expensive novelty.
The other thing, to just again play devil's advocate, is at the moment they're pitching it can run every game thrown at it. They're not delivering orders until Q2 2022. That's a year away. And technology advances at a rapid rate, especially requirements for top-end games.
Yeah.
So what happens if games are released between now and when they're actually shipping them, where the actual demands are too much for the Steam Deck to actually deliver?
I think that's just PC gaming as a whole, though, isn't it? It's just like our rigs might be fine now, but in 12 months' time. Like
Tony was saying, if you have the upgrade option, which they're probably never going to do, because obviously, again, it'll void warranties, the same as a normal PC. And normal PCs don't have an independent operating system on it. Yeah. If you had that option, you can keep up with it. But again, 570 quid to drop on something that you've never touched, you've never played, you ain't getting it for at least a year from now. A year's more tech to pass you by. New games come out that aren't guaranteed to actually play at the full rate. Then it's massive, so it's not really portability in respect, like Barney said. Then it's a 2-hour battery life. It's like, right, there's a lot of ifs and buts. Whereas, like Barney said, you can take like the Nintendo Switch. If it was 500 quid, I wouldn't have one. However, it was like 200 notes, I think I paid. You take a punt on it. It's actually really cool and it's enjoyable. But it's certainly not my go-to gaming console, but it's nice to have it. It'd be the same as this. A £570 with that size, that battery life, and no upgrade option, it's a no.
Let's throw it this end then. If they go right, they start reviewing things every quarter and go right. We've sold X amount through this country. We've had critics, other gamers, sort of online YouTubers, who are funded by X, Y, and Z, and they've touched on this device and they've all said, "Oh, it'd be nice to have that option of an upgrade." Now, will there be do you think? And again, I'm trying to look at this financially and to keep the device, I'll call it a device, sort of upstream and sort of in line and obviously against competitors. Do you think they'll go right? Look, I'm going to go back to the board. This is me speaking as like a director. I'm going to go back to the board and go right with my accounts team, so on and so forth. Look at this financially. Would there be an option that we offer out this package of a subscription or even a one-off payment and go right? You can send off your device back to, I don't know, Japan, America, London. We've got these, like Apple shops, so to speak, or warehouse. Send it back. You'll get given a your serial number as per your package. But if you pay us 200 quid, we will upgrade the system. We'll actually do a service on that for you, clean it out, so it's like it's brand new, and put it back in a bubble wrap casing and send it back to you with the upgraded components. Do you think that may be a market that they'll go down, or is that financial? Again, I don't know. Would it financially go? No, it's too much.
Never going to happen because, and I'll tell you why. Just like with anything, obviously this particular device is, Steam's own device. Yes, you can install Windows 10 and so on, but as we've touched on, in doing that, there is a possibility it may, void your warranty. But as I said, in such a sense, this is being sold as a bit of a closed device. So, what for example, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Samsung, Apple, what do they want to do? They want to sell you new devices, and that is, I'm pretty 99% sure that this will be released. Then it will. They're probably already looking at what they could do for Steam Deck 2. Do you see what I'm saying? They'll be looking to.
How would you advertise and brand a product that there's 1,000,001 variants out there in the space?
Yeah.
I just find it really bamboozling that we're such a wasteful society as humans. But yeah, if we need these precious materials and they're saying, "Oh, we need this platinum, we need this," or to help to give something. Again, I know a cost is everything. It's all about making money with these big giant companies, and they're getting the next product out. But if you want to try and touch on people's hearts and minds, or trying to be better for the environment, or whatever, and again, I don't want to go all sort of Greenpeace and hipster or whatever that may be. But what I would like to point out, if it was me, a gamer, and go, "Oh yeah, handheld console like a PSP, for example." I know we're talking different levels here, but if you just draw back to that, from handheld consoles to Game Boys, so on and so forth. I know we're going back in the ages here, like caveman times. But if someone said to me, "Right, Tony, yeah, you can upgrade this. It'll cost you 300 quid, but we'll put the latest software on there." To make sure it's running at capacity, we'll take off any bugs. We'll give it a service, and it won't void your warranty. Instead of going with someone who thinks they knows.
If I can tweak that idea slightly and say it would be as more like a contract, just like you have with a phone supplier, that's more feasible, I think. So you pay a certain amount each month.
Yeah.
And at the end of say 2 or 3 years, you might get the next upgraded version.
Mm-hmm.
That's more feasible, I think.
Upgrade in tech, there's more to it anyway, because in that shell, you're going to have X amount of space. And if you increase, the motherboard's only going to be capable of supporting X amount of RAM, X amount of graphics, and GPU, and so forth. And then obviously, if you upgrade the components, then you might need a bigger fan to keep the cooling, and fans obviously take up space. So the actual practicalities of upgrading it will only go so far. It will reach a threshold where it cannot do anymore. Because that same logic you could pitch to, why do we have, the Xbox Series X? Why do we have the PS4? Why have we not upgraded the PS3 and things like that?
Yeah.
So in short, with regards to my question, financially, this is not going to be a viable option if they were to look at going, right, this service, this upgraded package for £200-300 can be available to yourself to keep the life of this device up and running for an extra 5 or 10 years. You don't think it will go ahead? It will be the case of how it generally sort of operates like a mobile phone. You come to your contract, you upgrade, you get rid of your mobile phone, you recycle it, you whatever that may be, and then you take out a new device, a new package. Do you think that's what it'll be, or do you? Because for me,
I think it'll be a Steam Deck 2 or something like that.
Yeah. For me, it's cool. I just think like the battery life, and again, like you said, fans, they operate and they do take up space. The fan's probably like quarter of the size of a device, some of them. But it really bothers me. I think I'd enjoy playing one and sort of having sort of a test play on one with a friend, or going to something like a game station, or like a Toys R Us. But I wouldn't part with my money for that. I would, like Andy, and we've just had a discussion about, I would actually get a laptop, a gaming laptop, high performance, upgrade as time goes, and still have the enjoyability. If I was on a train or in the camper van and wanted to do some gaming, I'd go, right.
Or spreadsheets.
I think,
spreadsheets.
Well, I'm going to reel this in a moment, because we started with this because I thought it was going to be a short conversation.
Can I just say one more thing before you round it up? Just to massage Tony's Greenpeace credentials.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, Tony, just think there's going to be no tangible physical game sold for this device, because it's all going to be digital via the Steam network. So unlike games consoles, which are on half and half, at least everyone who buys this isn't going to contribute to unnecessary or non-use plastic from the gaming side.
But this is why they do this. This is why it's always been introduced for the last several years now, digital gaming. It's because you don't physically see that cash in your hand going to game or other services, CEX or Toy Story, and going, I would like to buy this game. That's £50 or £80, £100. You go, crap. You pay for it on your card. It takes a couple of days to go out, but you don't actually see it on that bit of plastic where you give your numbers, which I'm not going to, which Luigi's is 142. But again, it's more convenient for everyone to download it. But again, how if we were to download games on this device, how much power, battery life is that going to eat? Are you going to get, I've only got 80%? Is it going to go, you need 100% to download?
Right, if you think about it, with this being a portable...
Not interested.
If you think about this being a portable console, the thing is, you're going to ensure that you've installed your games prior to needing to use it. And you would probably have it plugged in, charging whilst it's...
You never had that problem with a Game Boy. You got your game, you put the cartridge in, you would have occasionally have to blow in it, and away you go.
Totally.
I was waiting for somebody to mention the Game Boy.
Last thing I'm going to mention on Steam Deck is, this is my view on a lot of people that they're targeting. Now, these days, as we know, many people commute to work, whether it be train, bus, whatever. Some people have an hour, 2 hour even commute. To me, that's like the main target, are these people that are looking for entertainment in the shape of games.
You think they're going to want to lug that around for their day with them?
Well,
and then have to charge them before they get off the train.
As I said to Barney previously, a lot of people, men, carry man bags these days. Like full size man bags to carry their lunch in or whatever.
Or if they want to change into their nightwear, their wife's underwear.
I know.
I think you're seeing these Steam gamers slightly different. I've got the envisaged like this guy wearing like a trucker cap, hasn't shaved in 3 years, and sat in front of his chair, and he probably gets up for like 2 hours to take a shit, food, and rehydrate, and that's about it.
Yeah, but
I think you've got this very like modern age appearance of PC games.
Yeah, but the thing is, Andy, right? That's quite a. I don't. I'm not going to say that this isn't like me being mean here. I don't know what other words to use here, but thinking in that way is quite close-minded. I feel because if
I'm basing it on my friends.
Right, that's fine. That's fine. But
other than Sam, everyone else I have in my social circle who plays games fits that judgment.
Right, but now
None of them carry a handbag, and half of them don't commute because they don't work.
Right, but you look at the the numbers in regards to how many Steam accounts there are. That the people for example, that's an extremely small amount in comparison. I know
1.7 million.
1.7 million what?
Friends.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we'll leave that there on the Steam.
All but one are imaginary, but
we've blimey, half an hour on the Steam Deck, and there's me thinking that would be a quick one. But anyway,
as a talking point, well, what I want to say is to finally put this conversation in and keep it short and sweet. I'd like to know from each and every one of you what you think. I'm going to keep this short. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, but I think it's going to be a fad. It's going to be short-lived in terms of, you could go for a device, but I wouldn't purchase it. That's it, done. That's it for me.
Any listeners want to get one before the end of the year, drop me a line, I'll hook you up. Obviously, there'll be a bit of interest, but I'll sort you out.
Right, so next
for
thing...
me, yep.
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
half price, yeah.
Half price.
Half the size. Half the size, sorry.
Half the size and half the price.
Double the battery life, and I'll consider it.
There we go.
Now, on to the important part of this episode.
Right.
Da-da-da-da.
Well, but just before that, if anybody does want to contact ourselves here at Luigi's Gaming Lounge, hit us up on our email at luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com. That's luigisgaminglounge@gmail.com. Whether it's a question you have, or you just want to say hi, let us know. We'll be reading them out, just like the first piece we've got here for you right now. So this is the first fan mail, and this is from Adrian, who is known as Affy Benz. I call him Affy Benz, but it's Benz. I know that, but I just call him Affy Benz. And he has said here, "Hi guys, first of all, great podcast. It certainly keeps my mind occupied when I'm working at home. I thought I knew gaming, but your knowledge is out of this world." That's very kind. Is there scope to do a podcast on your favourite driving games? I have purchased F1 2021, which is a great game in my opinion, but one of my all-time favourites was Project Gotham. What are yours? Also, what is your best and worst memory of playing online? My favourite moment was playing Warzone last year through lockdown, as it was a way to interact with my friends who I couldn't see face to face. And signed off Adrian brackets Affy Benz. So
well,
guys,
that's brilliant. I'm going to jump straight in there, and I'm going to say in our earlier podcast, can't remember which one, I think it was number 6.
Yeah.
We spoke about, and the other week we spoke about Formula 1, and we spoke about on the last podcast about sport games, and we did touch on racing games, and I said about Formula 1, and I stated that the 2020 on the Game Pass F1 was fantastic. I played it 2 career seasons in a row.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. You can change in between seasons, change teams. It's very strategic, tactical. You learn how to balance your tyres, so on and so forth, how much fuel to take on. Really good. Now, F1 2021, is it Affy Benz? Sorry?
Yeah, Affy Benz. Yeah.
Adrian. He mentioned that he's been playing that. Now, I haven't played that, and I was tempted to purchase the game, but it was at £64.99. So 65 quid, that's quite a bit of money, and I wasn't prepared to part from that. I enjoyed the 2020. Now, I did try other things like MotoGP on the Game Pass, and what was the lorry sort of F1 sort of equivalent. But anyway, didn't get on well with them at all. And again, different styles of racing and things that you need to take into account when going through corners and how strategic. But yeah, I agree with him. Formula One, 2020 or 2021, either or, but for 2020, for me, brilliant game. Really enjoyed that during lockdown. I spent quite a bit of time on that. And in regards to the gaming side of things, the game that I enjoyed the most during lockdown, which was a suggestion by Andy and I think Barnaby as well, correct me if I'm wrong, was Desperados 3. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was a basic play of like a sort of a bird's eye view game of controlling characters, very strategic. You've only got a limited amount of ammo, potions, knives, so on and so forth. And I completed it, and I was hooked. As soon as I was getting home from work, having dinner, I was spending 3 or 4 hours on it before going to bed. You know, it did annoy my partner to a degree. However, really good game. So that was my most enjoying. My most enjoying gameplay during the pandemic online, was when we played Call of Duty near enough for the first time as a group, and we came third. And we were stuck in the toilets. Can you remember? We were stuck in the sort of communal toilet shower area right near the port, as you go from the port and Promise Hill, that sort of area. In between there's the sort of communal toilets. And it was Andy, myself, Luigi and Barnaby. We came third and we were sort of trapped. We weren't able to move forward. And there was another team there and we came third. And that was brilliant. That's the times that I enjoyed. So yeah, again, really appreciate the fan mail. I'm glad that's come through. And for anyone else listening, as well as Affy Beats, you know,
Affy Benz.
Affy Benz, sorry, Affy Beats. Affy Beats sounds quite cool. I might have to take that name, partner up with him. But yeah, definitely would love to know other people's views and their opinions. But yeah, I will hand the mic over to Barnaby.
Hey, hang on a minute here. Are you taking charge of this, Tony? Or
Yeah, I am.
What's going on?
It's the Tony's gaming
Right,
lounge.
I'll get everything renamed, shall I?
Trademark. And for that note, for any viewers and streamers who are listening alike, please head over to my station, Tony's Gaming Lounge, where we talk about. Good night. God bless.
Yeah. So, Barney, off you go, my friend.
Yeah, so I think for gaming memories, although I'll just touch on the driving games because I'm actually I was a big fan of Project Gotham Racing as well. I actually played that. I think it was originally released on the Dreamcast, if I remember correctly. Oh, okay. And then PGR 2 was on Xbox, if memory serves. But yeah, Project Gotham. Project Gotham, yeah, I did play that for quite a bit. It was pretty cool. Although, generally speaking, I don't like realistic racing games. I think the points-based system of that game where you were awarded points for stylish driving, that's pretty cool. It made it stand out from the crowd of
Wasn't it Kudos?
Other racing. Yeah, Kudos, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you played it as well.
I did. I used to enjoy the originals. Not on the Dreamcast, I had on the Xbox.
I was going to say, I think it doesn't look like it's actually on the Dreamcast. The one that keeps coming up in regards to it on the Dreamcast is called MSR.
Yes, Metropolis Street Racing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
the developers later made Project Gotham. Yeah, but yeah,
right, okay.
It's the spiritual
like
Project Gotham.
Forza is the follow-on from PGR as well, isn't it? Project Gotham ceased and Forza is what sort of continued.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean...
You got one up on me there.
I mean, Project Gotham, I actually didn't start playing that until PGR 3 on the Xbox 360. Obviously, if you think back to when we had the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2, the leap from that to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it was, I put that disc in PGR3, and the vehicle just looked so really. There's like a section where you was in like the showroom. I don't know if you guys played that at all, but you're in the showroom.
I remember
looking at this car. And I just remember, like, obviously it had all the reflection off of the vehicle, and
the lights.
I just remember looking and thinking, "Wow, this is so realistic." Like I say, the jump from like the PS2 to Xbox 360, just crazy. But it was. I remember having a lot of fun with PGR3, a lot of fun. But yeah, I think because Afi Benz has mentioned obviously about. His memories of playing online, but he said best and worst here. I think a lot of people through lockdown made a lot of memories online, like I say, because it was a way to keep in touch with friends. I can't really put my finger on it. I mean, well, I tell you what, actually, the best is it's got to be when we won a couple of games of Warzone.
Yes.
You know, that feeling of just like the intense rush of, you know, getting that final
it's the
kill.
sheer fighting against the odds as well.
Yeah.
When there's like nearly 100 opponents, and then just like between like 3 and 4 of us.
Yeah.
I mean, that is some achievement.
Yeah, definitely. Andy, have you got anything to add?
I have.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Warzone. I completely agree. Warzone was a fantastic experience.
Yeah.
I think they didn't even intend to do it, but they really helped a lot of people through, you know, lockdown, probably not only in our country, but many countries.
Mm-hmm.
It brought people together. It kept their mind off things. It fantastic and was great. However, I have a soft spot in my heart for online gaming, both good and bad. It's the same game. Take you back to 1997 to 2000. I was 14 to 17 years old. I was doing my exams at school throughout that period.
Full of spunk.
I fell into the realms of Ultimate Online.
Oh, yes.
And I loved it. I got into it probably about 4 months after launch, and I played it religiously for 3 hours. And when I played it religiously, I was that stereotype PC game. You know, having a shower was a big accomplishment for me. I used to stack coins on my keyboard keys to macro the shit out of it while I slept. Anyway,
Wow.
that was the time as well where I was on 56k dial-up. So the bad experience is I was honestly, hand on heart, I was fucking good at that game. I was really good. But trying to battle people, especially when I was on an American server, who had a lot faster connection than a 56k dial-up, was very testing and frustrating at times. That's got to be the worst actual times where you need speed and you physically don't have it. That was frustrating. Yeah. But from that game, I actually have made 2, now 3 real-life friends in America. Wow. One of which actually photographed my wedding. She brought a friend across. She's now a really good friend. The original girl who I played Ultimate Online with, she's also visited and stayed with us. So from that sort of period of gaming, we've actually made, you know, off that one, then I met her friend, then another friend. So I've made 3 real-life people who Barney's had the pleasure of meeting. And I think that shows sort of the, you know, what can blossom from what is theoretically such a simple act. But it was very much, you know, online game consoles wasn't really happening. It was a way you could communicate. You know, yes, it was text chat and things, but it really made you feel like another person. And you got
text chat is awesome.
Yeah, and you know, that was my favourite moment of online gaming. You know, like I say, Warzone was fantastic. I completely agree with you guys, but I was trying to go for something different. But Ultimate Online, it took so much of my life, and I used to think, oh, fucking hell, I've wasted my life. But I think it really grew my passion for gaming. I developed real life friends from it. And after it all, I made nearly $2,000 on selling my gaming accounts, which is the first time I realised, you know, gaming can pay. So after I hung up my addiction, I was like, this is fucking nice. So that was
you missed out on being a pro gamer, Andy.
Yeah. Because it took so long to level up your characters, whereas you could have 7 skill trees. And you basically get a Grandmaster status when you get 100 out of 100. And it could literally take weeks and months to get 0.1 increases. And sort of my main account had, I think there was 3 characters that were maxed out, all 7 skills on like the top ranking. And people were just paying silly money for the accounts. But even before I sold the accounts, people would pay you for the actual items in game, similar to what they do today. It was a case of you meet them in the bank in game, and I either transfer you gold in game, which I then sold gold on eBay, or they'd PayPal you real life money, and then you'd hand them gold at the bank. So it's like, fucking hell. So like, while I'm still doing my exams at school, I'm making money like literally by playing video games, as well as making.
And you never looked back.
Yeah, I've been making money from games since. Obviously not a pro gamer.
What I'd love to know, Andy, is quickly you touched on you've built friendships. I know a few other people, such as those who are in the chat, i.e. yourselves and Luigi, who have established friends from this. And I would like to know, have they taken an interest in this podcast? Have you spoken to this? Do they do something similar, or what are their current? Are they still active in the gaming community?
Well, one of them, who again Mark Barney's had the pleasure of meeting, she still plays Ultimate Online to this day.
Wow.
Now the main servers, I don't think are still going, but it had such a following. There was a lot of sort of fan-made servers, and when she visited across here, I think she only visited maybe last year or the year before. I was gobsmacked that she still played it after, 2 decades. So she still plays it. Her brother actually works for Nintendo in America. So they are
amazing
big gamers. Have I pitched it and have I sold it to them? I'm guilty. I have not. But now you put the idea on my head, I might just do that. The other girls, they are actually friends of this original girl. So they're not gamers themselves. But again, it just shows that friendships can be made.
Is there a chance of getting these on the podcast, or fair to that, due to the time zone difference, getting an audio message and just trying to find out bits of gaming where they think Nintendo's going to go, the next level of gaming, generation of gaming? That would be so cool.
Are you trying to get some insider information?
Maybe.
Before you purchase some stocks.
Maybe.
I'm also going to put a tiny little special mention, to the first games console online experience I had, and that was Ghost Recon on the original Xbox. It came bundled with the original Xbox Live headset and all that. Yeah. And I remember being hid in long grass in Ghost Recon, sneaking, literally going through sort of wasteland, keeping really sneaky, and really feeling immersive for the first time on an online gaming session. That was that. But in answer to, is AFibs? AFibers?
Affibens.
Affibens. In response to Affibens on the question, I'll just run through this really quickly. I won't go into it. Arcades used to love Run and Daytona USA. Sort of not so long ago, but a bit further back, the original Need for Speed, I think, was great. The Hot Pursuit, should I say. The original Destruction Derby, original Gran Turismo, like Tony's mentioned, and more recently, really enjoying Forza Horizon, but also Wreckfest. It's like the same sort of magic that Destruction Derby gave me back in the day. And I'm sure Tony would agree. It's a real no-brainer. You can have a laugh with your mates.
Yeah.
And if we're all millionaires, we'd probably be putting a roll cage in our own cars and doing it in one of our. Yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's my input to the car games.
Lovely. Well,
amazing.
To wrap up the fan mail section of this episode, obviously, Affy Benz has said obviously that Project Gotham was one of his all-time favourites. Now, this is going to be rapid fire. We're not discussing. You just give me a name in the game, because he's put what are yours. So I want two of your all-time favourites. Barney, go.
Or games in general.
Yeah, throughout whatever. 2 that stick out that are your favourites all time.
Legend of Zelda and Civilization.
Nice. Tony?
Yeah, again, we spoke about it before. It was The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And Hot Pursuit. Again, I'm playing that as we speak at the moment because it's on Game Pass and we touched on it. So, yeah, those 2 for me, brilliant games. Hooked.
Lovely. Andy, 2 from you? I know you've just mentioned a lot, but...
Oh, I just did driving. If this is any games, Age of Empires 2, Halo 2.
Okay. For me, I am going to go for the Tony Hawk's franchise and EA Hockey on the Sega Mega Drive. So yeah, there we go. That wraps up the fan mail. Thank you very much for that, Affy Benz. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Nice one, mate. Thank you.
And again, if anybody else would like to send in a question or just say hello, contact us at Luigi's Gaming Lounge at gmail.com. Luigi's Gaming Lounge tonygaminglounge@gmail.com.
Alternatively, you can email me at Tony's Gaming Lounge.
Ignore Tim. Right, so we're going to keep this to around about an hour, attempt to. So there's two actual other things I wanted to discuss, but briefly, I'd like to discuss now that Netflix are touching base with streaming games and supposedly not charging any extra. It's been said that they're looking into basically start off with mobile games streaming or mobile streaming. A little bit confused with it, but do you know what? The way I see it, if they're not charging any extra, I'm all for it. I think, for them to do this move with, bringing in gaming as well, they're sort of, they're putting themselves out there as sort of like the ultimate entertainment package: movies, TV shows, games. It's quite interesting, and again, as we mentioned earlier, I believe one of the sort of I can't remember who it is from EA. Somebody high up in EA has been hired to sort of oversee.
It was Mr. FIFA himself.
Oh, was it?
No, I don't know. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
He's probably the guy who goes EA Sports. It's in the game.
It could be, but no. I mean, it's like I said, it makes sense. I think for them to be doing this, like I said, all-round entertainment. I mean, does anybody have any sort of input? What they'd like to say in regards to that?
I don't know how much you've looked into it. From the articles I read, they're not looking at doing all games. What they're looking at doing is using their existing IPs and licenses and creating games of those. Do
you know what? I did wonder this, and but yeah,
that's what I can dig into it, because they're not going to get the rights. Yes, they could throw money at it, but it's a lot of companies have tried and failed. I think Disney have tried a few times, but a lot of companies have tried and failed to do this game streaming. And when you've got the likes of Sony, they haven't mastered it. Yes, Microsoft are doing the best effort yet, Steam, etc. Yes, but it's been tried and tested lots of times, and it hasn't ever really worked. Mm-hmm. Yes, Netflix have got money. On the grapevine, though, investors and financial advisors aren't a fan of this idea because of, there's no guarantee it'll work. But from what I read a bit deeper is they're looking at creating games off their own licenses and IPs. Now, are they going to create it for consoles? Potentially they could, and then obviously sell it. But mobile gaming is a big market. Yeah. I imagine a lot of Netflix subscribers are sort of the younger generation. And I don't mean like, teens, but I mean anything up to maybe 30, 40s and that, more inclined to play on the game. Follow on from watching a film or following a game, a TV series, you sort of think, oh yeah, wouldn't it be great if they made a game?
Yeah.
I think there is a gap for that, and the fact you can get it on your phone, it could work. Yeah. I don't think it's going to set the world alight, but I think it they're going to do something with it at least.
I think. Sorry, go on.
If you look at the sort of figures for Netflix, they've sort of hit saturation. If anything, they're actually dropping subscribers slightly now. So they are an astronomical company with a ridiculous amount of money that have grown from nothing. It grew from a couple of guys posting DVDs in a letterbox. But they've reached their cap. They're saturated. They can't go anymore. So unless they think of ways of branching out and taking chances, they're only going to go down, and those shareholders don't want shares to drop. So I think it is worth a shot. I do think they can make something of it using their own licenses and IPs and targeting, mobile games specifically. Yeah. If it works, they could then license those sort of games and then do the cross-platform and the consoles. Much like, for example, Lego. Lego obviously licensed, is it TT Games, Telltale Games, to make the Lego games, and the Lego games are actually pretty damn decent. Yeah. So you could imagine they might license their rights, they get a chunk of the profits. But yeah, it could work. I don't think it's going to be this one-stop shop for game streaming. It's just another company that in recent times there's been several of them that is trying it. Netflix, out of any of them, they got enough money to not fail, but I don't think it's going to be what people necessarily think it's going to be.
Well, That's a good point, because I'm just looking at some information here, and I'll just read this very small clip which is actually from the site cnet.com, and it states here Netflix's gaming venture will start with ad-free games for mobile devices like phones and tablets, which will be available in the streaming service at no extra cost. The streaming service also said it would experiment with creating games based on existing... So experiment, they've put, with creating games based on existing Netflix franchises, as well as totally original standalone games that could potentially spawn spin-off movies or shows. So,
it's a way of them creating more revenue.
Yes.
It's the same as every Star Wars film. Back in the day, you had your R2D2 and your C3PO. That was probably actually part of the original plan. Look at recent days, you had Jar Jar Binks, you've had the little Pog thing, you've had Baby Yoda. They're there to sell product. They're there to push merchandise down the throat of all the people who see that show or that film. And this is another way. You can push the games, you can push the TV, you can push the film, because people want it. They see something they like, they want more of it.
Yeah, so I've got my own opinion, and I don't do short and sweet. I do long and sour. No, that's corny. But I am going to try and get this short and sweet. So my opinion on this. Firstly, I want to touch on our episodes again. We talked about this, didn't we, where we said we'd like to see, wouldn't it be cool if we could see something introduced into hotels for those who are non-gamers, who are gamers, who are unable to take their Xbox, their PC, whatever that may be, and they go, right, I'm sat in the hotel, it's COVID, don't really want to read a book or a magazine, can't really go out. Oh, there's an option to play games on the hotel sort of server. That'd be cool. That sounds like something that's similar that we're doing. Younger generation, going back on what Andy said, yes, they're trying to find, sort of focus on that audience. You look at the likes of Amazon Prime, other streaming services, they've got audiobooks, music, videos, primes. Netflix are going, well, let's do something different, gaming. The first thing I thought of when I heard about this was, can you remember Sky, the provider in the UK, Sky? Mm-hmm. I remember back in the 90s, this must have been 1998, 1997, I remember when they had a few games that you use on your controller, up, down arrows, and the middle button being select or enter. You could then sort of mimic this arrow to sort of fire balls or play Tetris. Those sort of games. Yeah, exactly.
You had it on teletext back in the day.
Yeah.
Similar principle, yeah. I played both. They were all terrible.
Yeah.
I think that principle applies. I think it's very similar to that. The fact that they used an original IP addresses, they've got them to their arsenal. It's kind of something that's in their drawer to go, what shall we do with these? Oh, well, we might as well use them, And again, I think this would go down well. Again, you can download games from Google stores if you've got an Android or, so on and so forth. But to have this option, and if they're ad-free, because I hate ads, you can play. And the fact, if they're dropping in services, and especially with COVID, because COVID will eventually eradicate, I think if they're going, right, we're going to keep it the same. However, that's going to encourage a more audience where they go, if they want to watch a film, a documentary, or play games, we've got it on this one platform. And it's another market to keep it alive so they don't fall down the realms. And I know, I don't want to say they're very I'm just saying in terms of the sort of entertainment market, I'm not saying that they're like Blockbuster, but look where they crumbled. They literally, they crumbled. So to keep Netflix alive, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon anyway, because a popular streaming platform over millions of people in different continents and countries. But I think this would go well. I think they'll get a bad press from critics if they're basic Tetris games going, well, I can download that on my phone. There's not much of a challenge. But they're looking to branch out and sort of generate their own games from, popular TV shows, much like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, to documentaries, to films that have taken place. That's good, but that's going to take a lot of time of planning and designing and putting these programs together. But are they going to put it in a block formation where it takes you back to, back to the sort of SNES and
I
NES?
I like the idea because there's so many times here that like myself and even everyone else has said, for example, you've played a game. I'll use Last of Us as an example, and there, we all know that the Last of Us TV show is in the works, and we've all sort of played a game and gone, how awesome would this be as a TV show? And I like the fact that they've said there, that basically looking at doing standalone games. That could potentially spawn spin-off movies or shows. The likes of Dead Rising, for example. In the original in the shopping mall and making all these silly weapons and that. I mean, if that was like a film, I would watch it. That would be sort of like a horror/comedy.
Yeah.
I know.
Although I have just one key point there is that, but are Netflix going to be any good at making games in the first place? If it's going to be primarily the games to TV shows that gets you excited, we know that they're okay at making their own programs. They're better at sourcing from established studios, but their own content is a bit of a mixed bag. And I'm expecting the same for their games. Although I did really enjoy Bandersnatch, and that was pointed out in one article I read. If their content is going to be like Bandersnatch, the interactive fiction, which is already drawing on their speciality, which is video footage, but it's also interactive as well, then I'm all for more of those because I was pretty keen on that.
Yeah, definitely. Going back on mine, all I'm going to say is I'm definitely keen and interested in this idea. The fact that there's no additional costs. I personally think the Netflix own original documentaries, I think putting a percentage on it, 90% of them are fantastic, well illustrated, well produced. But I'm interested to see this. There is a market. Amazon don't have this option. There'll be something. They will pump something into it potentially, or use Netflix as their own test pilot to go, let's steer clear if it's a negative response. If it's a positive, they'll pump the money into it. But, I'll end my conversation. I'm keen for this, but I would like to highlight, we did talk about this similar sort of package being mobile that you could use and we used it as a scenario sake, if you were working away in a hotel or you forgot your Xbox or some form of gaming device and you go, I'm in an Airbnb, don't worry about it. There's this platform, you can download it, you can use it as a subscription fee, or it's free with the cost of the accommodation. So just to finally point out, we did talk about this as a group in our one of our earlier podcasts, and I'm all for this. I do think it's going to be a mixed bag, so I'm with Barnaby on that.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, it's not. We're not going to. Well, at the moment, anyway, we won't be incurring any extra charges. But I'm sure somewhere down the line they'll make their money up. But no, I mean, I'm interested. I want to see, what comes of it, and again, anything gaming related, it's got my ears pricked up, and I'm all ears. But I think what we're going to do, guys, so we'll end that conversation there, because we've gone over an hour now. So I think what I'm going to look to do is do like a bit of a mini episode in regards to Battlefield's new mode that's been announced, 2042. The Portal mode, which looks very good, and I feel. This is my personal opinion. I feel it is worthy of a mini episode because
it's also worthy of finally taking COD's crown because they're really thinking outside the box with this Portal.
Yes. So
can I just also touch on this? From seeing that video today, I'm speechless. We've all thought about, and you see a lot of people from vets who have served overseas from different eras, and we'll cast back to World War II. But you see them speaking to the modern day soldiers, commandos, whatever they may be, or different Marine units in America or UK and overseas. And it's quite interesting to see, technology going at a rapid rate, uniforms. And, I was watching a film today, Glory, just about the Civil War and how that broke out in America. And it's just like, oh, they've got the muskets, and how 80 years, nearly 80 years later, there's World War II. And it just, you kind of think about it and you go, wow, you see people talking to each other from different backgrounds. I fought in World War II. We don't talk about this, to modern day conflicts, and younger soldiers who have been affected or who have been in combat zones like myself. And then you go, how have I never thought about this? In terms of, you look at technology, yeah, there's a Spitfire, but then you go, wait a minute. Have we ever seen a race between a jet and a Spitfire? Obviously, which one's going to win, but how nimble it is, the weaponry, the uniform, how heavy. It's really cool. And you know what? I never thought of this. Why didn't they merge the two different eras, and different armies into one game, so you can have specialist tactics? Because the old generation may be a bit more tactical, a bit more silence, with just, with a dagger, or, with basic weaponry and detonators, to the modern day where it's all tactical UAVs. You know what? I'm speechless. I'm looking forward to this. I'll definitely get involved in this. And it'd be nice to see if they've really taken sort of more key points of where they've had Battlefield or even Call of Duty Warzone, where you hear the snap, crack and thunder, the pop, when a round goes over you or whizzes past you. Now that would be good if they've definitely, and which I'm sure they have, but they've got certain sort of noises and effects in that. That'd be great. And I remember I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he was talking to me about it's a system that's in place. He's quite a bit of a techno sort of gamer, technology sort of gamer geek, really good guy. And he was talking about that it's like I'm trying to find it. He talked about it's like a virtual sound, much like VR, but it talks about the movements of the earphones. So you think it's one place and it's another area, and he just talks about it. And he said, as an example, if you type in Google virtual barber, you'll fit it, you'll play with your sort of senses and your hairs will stick up, but he may be on the left side of your ear, and it feels like he's actually cutting your hair, and then moves over to the right, or maybe doing something on top. And it's much like going back of, where people used to put the egg on top of the head, and then it's running down your back, or on your knee, something like that. But it's called, if you Google virtual barber, it's pretty cool. It's just playing with sounds and effects where it sounds like it's come from the left, and then it hovers around the back of your head like it's going a loop and enter into the right. And you hear that in a lot of songs these days where they amplify sounds and so on and so forth. But yeah, as long as they've got that down to a T in this game in Battlefield 2042, yeah, I think I think they're going to take the crown on this. And I think
their game could look like it was released for Sega Mega Drive, so long as the sound's on point, we're all good.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I do think they've definitely
Ain't nothing wrong with Mega Drive.
No, I definitely think they will take the crown on this, and Call of Duty are going to really go, wow, we're going to have to think outside the box here, lads, and then they'll come out with battleships. They're going to start playing like a battleship simulator, like you have with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You can have your own battleships and upgrade your cannons, and I don't know. That's something I'm plugging out of the air here, but yeah, Battlefield 2042. I'm excited for, and I will be looking to purchase that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, moving on, Tony. You should have saved that for the mini episode, boy.
you can edit it out and put it there, so we don't have to come back, so we can get on with our own lives. No. Joking. Burn.
Yeah, no. So, like I say, that we've discussed obviously Netflix, with regards to gaming, we've had our first fan mail. Thank you very much again, Alfie Benz. And we discussed the Steam Deck, which was a longer conversation than I thought. So you can't underestimate these gaming talks. But no.
The power of the voices.
The power of the voices. We'll wrap up there on episode 16. And as I said, I will be. I don't know whether I'm guessing maybe one or two of these guys might join me on a mini episode. We'll see. We'll see what their schedules are like in regards to Battlefield 2042. And so that's episode 16 over with. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you guys for being here with me. And we'll see you next time. See you later, guys.
Thanks. Stay safe. Yo, peace out.
Bye.